Alright there guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, normally on a Sunday I do a paper talk video, but to be honest with you guys, there's literally nothing that I could talk about in the papers today, which is the first thing that I do on a Sunday. Obviously, I've got to, I make that video for you guys, but there's literally nothing that's worthwhile talking about in regards to Liverpool in the papers today. Not even players that we've been linked with in the past. Now I have updates on where they could be going now and stuff like that. Like, there's nothing. So I wasn't going to do a video today. However, we've had a tweet that's popped out today from Sky Germany's correspondent, I guess you could call him that, Florian Plettenberg. This is someone who I have cited a few times now. Now, there's not much as an update in this, but I thought I'd just read it out and share it with you in the first place anyway. So basically, he has gone on to say that talks between Liverpool and Lavia are concrete and ongoing. Understand there is no agreement in terms of salary conditions yet. Now, normally guys, when a team, any team, not just Liverpool, is going towards buying a player, right, you would agree terms of a salary before you even talk with the club. Now, technically that's not how it's supposed to happen. You're supposed to talk to the club, agree a deal, and then you get permission to speak to the player. But you wouldn't do all that if you didn't think that the player was going to bother coming and joining you in the first place. Otherwise it's just pointless, do you know what I mean? So I think that bit there I don't agree with. I think Liverpool already know what he would be looking for in type of a wage, do you know what I mean? So yeah, as reported, his price tag is around £50 million, which we all know. I'll come back to that in a minute. Klopp wants him. He is a very press-resistant player. Even in high-pressure situations, he loses the ball only once out of 10 times. I don't know where he gets that stat from, but it is true from what I've seen of the player, like a couple of times last year. Like, he bossed that game against Arsenal. He's only 19 years of age as well, which is hard to imagine. But this is a player I would want Liverpool to get. Now, a 50 million price tag. We've got to think, guys, that no matter what happens this summer, if Southampton keep hold of this player, there's a 40 million back option for City that comes into play next year. So they know that the minimum they will get for this player, if they keep hold of him, is 40 million quid. So Liverpool have got to think, if they're going to want to get him this summer, that the starting point, just to bring them to the table, is 40 million. Now, that could be structured in different ways, where it's like 30 million up front with 10, 15 million over how many years or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But the minimum to get them to the table has got to be 40 million. And then you've got to think, to entice them to let him go, and like a season early, you've got to go more than the 40. So I think this is where the 50 million is coming from, in all fairness, guys. It just makes sense that that's the way that it do. It's business, isn't it? Why would they let him go for less than 40 million this year when they know that if City decide to go for him next year, they're guaranteed 40? We might not agree with that, being fans of Liverpool. We might not agree. I don't think he's worth 50 million. But taking off your Liverpool hat and thinking of it from Southampton's point of view, you need to offer at least 40 to bring us to the table, because we're guaranteed that next year. So then also you got to take into consideration how much money would they potentially gain or lose if they stayed another season in the Championship. There's a lot of stuff into this. So yeah, that's my starting thing with the whole Lavia situation. Now, I'm going to try and do something now where I'm going to cut across to a different screen. So all being well, you won't notice this, but let's wait and see what happens here. So guys, taking into consideration everything that we know about Liverpool now, I thought what I'd do, just to make this video a little bit longer for you, is show you, because I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans lately talking about, we need a right back, we need a right back. Now, this that's on the screen right now is the formation that Liverpool were playing towards the back end of last season, right? As you can see, we don't have a right back at this moment in time. This is when we've got the ball, right? When we don't have the ball, it becomes a little bit more like that, where Trent would cover this area. And then obviously Fabinho a bit more central, these two would drop back a little bit more, you know what I mean? So that is when we'd need a right back. But that's only when we don't have the ball. Now for me, this is where we kind of line up at the moment, right? When we've got it. Probably play Trent a little bit further forward than Fabinho. Now, as you can see, this is where I think McAllister and Szoboszlai are going to drop in. I've put Jones and Elliott there because that's kind of where I think I could see a lot of them playing this season. I could probably see Szoboszlai or Elliott coming in here to help with Salah or taking on that position when Salah goes to the AFCON. We have Núñez and Gakpo here. Between a choice of them, I'm not 100% sure. You know, we've got Gakpo's a lot more of coming in this way, getting involved a little bit more here, allowing Salah and Diaz or Jota to cut in here. Whereas Núñez is not very much got the strength to be able to do that. He's more of like on the last line of the defenders, pressing forward, you know, and that's why we saw him a lot over on this other side towards the back end of last season. McAllister and Dom are going to be like more of 10/8s. Their job's obviously to come into here and obviously fill in these gaps here with this. But when we lose the ball, they also have to track back and obviously come back in here. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is, guys, we don't need a right back as a priority for me. The priority for me is this position here, Robbo. As you can see, I've put Costas on there as well. Now, he didn't seem very comfortable playing that position this year at all whatsoever. So for me, especially when we saw the tweet that came out from Fabrizio Romano the other day, having sat on that a little bit now and having thought about it a little bit more, I think potentially Tsimikas may be sold this summer, and he could be the player that's sold, which then gives us funds to go buy a Lavia, for instance, let's say. But then you'd be thinking, well, who are we going to get to come in and, you know, back up Robbo, give Robbo some competition? Now, Gomez could do that. Gomez has played left back for us, yada yada yada. However, I think that this position here is where Kanate and Gomez are going to start challenging, because they've got a lot more area to cover on this side than Robbo would. Because as you can see, they've got the protection of Fabinho/Stefan/Lavia. This is where Lavia would play for us as well, I think. So there's more protection over this sit. But look at all this space here, especially when you've got like Trent there. Kanate and Gomez have got to have the energy and the pace to cover all this ground. That's why I don't think Matip would play here. It just wouldn't work. Matip's going to have to be the backup to Van Dijk or potentially sold himself, which then leaves us needing another one. So for me, this is where Levi Colwill would come in, or Mickey van de Ven, or number one probably would be Vardiol. I think he'd come in and take the position off Robbo. However, that's not going to happen, is it? So we kind of are stuck with Robbo here at the moment, just as Robbo, just because I don't think Costas would be any good here at all whatsoever. But I don't want to go too much into this because I've done a video about this tactic before in the past, but if you are new to the channel, I just wanted to show you like why I don't think we need a right back. When we have the ball, which should be the majority of the time, that's how I see us lining up. And then the only reason we'd have to play this when we lose the ball, and they'd come back into here. As you can see on this position, this is where I can see Thiago or Henderson. The only reason why I've put them two there is because I think obviously we've got Trent doing the ball, passing about. Thiago could do that. I don't think Henderson could do that, but I do think Henderson would have the ability to get backwards and forwards and cover this right back position when we lose the ball. That's the only reason why I've put Henderson there. I don't think maybe Thiago could do that, like long term, like if Trent was to get a serious injury. So let's say if Trent was to get a serious injury, I could see Bajcetic coming here, I could see Lavia playing here alongside Fabinho, and that'd give us a bit more stability here in regards to this. And it probably would, in all fairness, allow Robbo to power forward a little bit more, because then you'd still have the four at the back. But yeah, just want to show you a quick video, like demonstration on why I think we don't need a right back in this situation. Anyway guys, I hope you found this video interesting. I know it's a little bit short, it's a little bit pants, but there's nothing much to talk about. I think maybe this week we might see some updates in regards to defenders, you know, like Colwill yesterday. Obviously they won the Euros, apparently he's going to report back to Chelsea, but I think that won't be for a couple more weeks just as yet. But yeah, he didn't look comfortable, did he, in them Twitter videos that were on there of him when the Chelsea teammate of his who played thing as well, is it Mandueke, tried getting him on the live, and he's like, I'm bringing him back to Chelsea, guys. If you watch them videos back, if you can find them, Colwell does not look impressed that was pushed upon him at all whatsoever. Doesn't look impressed. Doesn't bide well for us, because potentially we've still got to agree a deal with Chelsea, and they're probably going to look for something stupid, north of 50 million. But maybe, you never know. It could be someone that Liverpool signs so shortly. Anyway, guys, I hope you found this video of interest. If not, sorry, but there's nothing much else to talk about. All being well, I'll be back with you at some point next week when we've got some news to talk about. But until then, I'll catch you in the next one.